This is a momentous time in so many ways in our public life, in the state of reality here on planet Earth, with multiple complex forces acting in unexpected and fundamentally dangerous ways. Those dangerous ways are summed up in what we call existential risk, this moment of potential risk to our very existence. And that's hard to hear. And yet at the same time, there are two other vectors of reality that are playing. One is the common wonder and decency and goodness of billions of people on the planet. There are people doing unimaginable acts of love and subtlety and depth and goodness and wonder and beauty every second all over the world. That's happening at the same time. And two, and that's what I want to focus on in this very, very short sharing, there are unique individuals who walk among us. Teachers, often. People of radical amazement, people of wonder, people who are madly committed with unimaginable devotion to becoming the highest human possible, to becoming divine human beings in service and devotion to all, and to incarnate the teaching, God appears in you as you. And the strange thing about those people is that they are both superhuman on the one hand, and then more human than you can possibly imagine on the other. And Sally Kempton was such a human being. She was also my best friend, and I was her best friend. And I miss her unimaginably. Her depth, her laughter, her perception, her struggles, her willingness to re-engage and deepen every day, her stepping in heroically into accessing a level of divine depth, integrity, even as she was infinitely concerned about the color paint that they used to paint a particular room in the house and the fabric, right, that she wanted to use to reupholster the couch, which mattered enormously. And when she found like a new kind of sweater that fit her like in a way that really worked for her, and a catalog online that was an event of cosmic proportion, Sally was both in some senses superhuman, a divine being, and so profoundly human. And she lived for all of us. And this is 1 year since her passing. Now, Sally has many students in the formal traditions in which she taught, particularly in Hinduism and Kashmir Shaivism. One of the pillars of contemporary Hindu philosophy and practice, with the figure of Abhinavagupta being a primary lineage master. And those students, I'm sure, have gathered in and celebrated their teacher. And that's beautiful. Sal and I were deep friends, spiritual teacher beloveds, holding together as deep brother and sister this deep vision of what was possible on so many levels of practice and dharma. But Sally wasn't, to me, or to the community of One Mountain, Many Paths, right, to the Center for World Philosophy and Religion, which actually originated as the Center for World Spirituality, which Sally, together with myself and Ken Wilber and others, co-founded. Sally was our friend. She was a deep and profound friend. She was a holding presence of she. She was someone who understood and supported and held the vision. She was of us in some deep way, and she made us more. And her presence made us more, and it made everything that we did deeper and more open and more alive and more in every way. Sally was an inseparable part of the fabric of our breathing, of our very existence. We just had, for the first time, a board conclave, the first one without Sally since 2009. And it was, for me, unimaginably painful. And of course, pain is often private, and that no one came to me and said, Marc, it must be unimaginably painful to you not to have Sally here. It's the nature of how time moves on. And you hold certain pains in the intensity of the depth of your being, unimaginably painful. And yet, Sally was committed to not come back here. She actually felt she had finished her incarnations and wanted to re-enter the stream of infinite goodness and live uniquely within that stream. And I said to her, please come back and visit. Like, please, 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 please. And I can actually feel you right now, Sally, in this second, a flicker, a glimmer of your presence. And I've met you here in a dream, and I've met you there in an image. And I've looked for you. And we're all looking for you. And we don't want to pull you back. We know you're on the next stage of the journey, and yet we need you so much, and we need your story, and we need to understand you, and we need to be enlivened by you. And so this Sunday, and Krista, what day is this Sunday? What's the date? Do we know? Let's take a look together. Okay. Let's take a look. This Sunday is, can you tell me? Okay. Let me take a look myself. This Sunday is the 21st of July. So this Sunday, on July 21st, 1 year after Sally passed, we're going to do a special One Mountain And we're going to try and ask the question, who was Sally Kempton? And what does her humanness teach us? And what does her human divineness teach us? And we'll tell stories, personal stories, funny stories, and we'll look at teaching, perhaps particularly Sally's teaching on Krishna and Radha, right? The great love story of reality. I can't wait to be with you. And it's a special, intimate, personal time for all of us. And I want to say, we're not claiming Sally. Sally in the public world has her vectors of teaching and her vectors of influence and her students, and they should all do as they do. This is a different kind of gathering. It's a family gathering, in some sense, a private gathering, private in the sense that it's a place of deep and intimate and tender sharing and honoring and pouring blessing into the one who poured so much blessing into us. This is the act of eulogy. Hesped, it's called in Hebrew, Hesped. And the purpose of Hesped is to liberate the person who's passed from loneliness by actually recognizing and seeing them and feeling them in their hidden spaces and understanding them as best we can. And we come to ask forgiveness for not having recognized that great one who walked among us in the way that we could have while she walked with us, and to perhaps tell stories that will allow her to be understood, to be felt, to be liberated in some way, so that the sparks of her greatness are woven into the fabric of the great flame of our world. So I would madly, madly, tenderly appreciate being with you there. So come, bring friends. Let's tell the story of a great one. Let's tell the story of the great and wondrous Sally Kempton. Thank you.